Destroy Optimus Prime! Crush him and all the Autobots once and for all!
I take no orders from you.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the MP-57 Skyfire. It's their take on a very G1-esque masterpiece, Skyfire from Takara. It is a nice looking figure overall. It has a whole lot of features packed into it. Is it perfect? What's the quality? How does it compare? How does it stand up to the other ones? We're going to talk about all that, but before we get into that, I did get this at Show Z. I'm going to have a link down below where you can get yours, and of course put in the TH Reviewer code if you want to help me out. Anyway, this is a pretty good figure. We're going to get into a look at everything I've figured out about this coming up. Alright, so here is the box. Shows bot mode, alt mode, looking pretty good. Classic Takara is huge. This box is massive. Let's look at the side. You can see the side of it, and there are a lot of pictures on the back. It's showing many different things. A lot of these pictures we have already seen before. We've been looking at a lot of these pictures for a while there, but kind of shows everything that's in the box too. And it says some writing. Pretty cool. And this is how it is packed in the box, sort of partially mistransformed just so it all fits in there. It's in the alt mode. And you have the stand that's kind of tucked around the bottom of it, and that's the orientation of everything. Looks kind of cool. Alright, so here he is in his alt mode. I'm going to try to move through all of the features as fast as I can with this guy in the alt mode, but it does look pretty good overall. I thought it would be like a smoother alignment of this, and I actually thought, I was like, is the chest supposed to fold down? Is it just mistransformed in the box? But that's how that goes. But it's okay overall. It does feel like a very G1-esque version. I'm going to pull it off the flight stand. We're going to look at the flight stand, pull it off the flight stand, then we'll look at it on the ground and all that kind of stuff. But I do have the landing gear down because we're going to see that here in just a bit, and we're just going to look at pretty much everything on this. But it does look good. A lot of it is unpainted plastic, which some of it's painted, some of it's unpainted. The most part unpainted in some areas, and I was glad that it wasn't painted in that area because it looked like some areas could have been scratched up pretty bad. We do have these pieces here that can plug in blast effects, and I'm making it fall apart by plugging in and unplugging blast effects on it. But it looks like is that translucent, or just painted a really good gray on the thruster there. There we go. Plug that in just to hold it in place. Wings have some stabilizer that could go up and down, and I'm having a little trouble keeping that in. So there is a little fiddliness with this stand. It's the same stand we see with all of them, but it's not the greatest. And the way it connects kind of sucks. But anyway, we can move the wings a little further out and in and all of that. But let's look at the things on the stand, then we're going to take it down below and look at it a little bit closer on some other stuff. Okay, so it does have an opening cockpit, and you can open it up and you can reveal that you've got a figure in there. Let's say we have a wheel jack. We're going to look at those figures specifically when we get into the robot mode, and we do a comparison with some other figures. We'll go ahead and pull him out of here. He fits fine, looks good. Then you can go up a little further, and we're going to see that we have Optimus Prime hiding up in here, and he fits in there, and he fits in there just fine. I probably don't want to leave these in here for the transformation, though. And so with that, there's some detailing in here and all of that kind of stuff, and then there's a little window on the side so that he can see out of it and all of that. So that looks pretty good overall. Quite a bit of detailing to it, though, and I think that does look good. And then got to kind of snap that back into place like so. Coming around to the side, and some integration with other toy lines. Well, I integrated it. I don't think they did, but there's so many compartments and stuff that you can put these in. So you might as well just use the X-Transbots ones, which I think are painted better, look better, but Takara's I feel are more solid. But we'll get to that when we compare all of those. And then on the other side here, we have another one with this. One of these opens from the front to the back. The other one opens back to the front. Here's the Bumblebee fits in there. So there's a lot of integration, a lot of spaces to put all of those. And so one thing about the stand is I want to say that if you just display it and put it in a spot, it stays and it's fine. So the stand is fine as long as you leave it in one spot. But when you start moving it around like I was, it does kind of suck. It does. But I don't think it was really intended for excessive use. It's just a display piece. So I'm going to move aside. It's exactly the same as we've seen with other Takara stands. Nothing special about it. Now looking under here, we do sort of have a couple things going on. We have the gun, and it slides in. It was kind of hard to slide in and now kind of hard to slide out, but it slides in with these little tabs into right here. And then the flight stand plugs into those two slots and all of that. And so with that, we're going to pull these off too, because we don't really need them in there anymore. And here's the gun. We'll see that later on when we get to the bot mode. Now, when you have to open these flaps here to get out the landing gear. And then you open these two flaps in the front to get to that landing gear. And the back landing gear isn't super solid. Doesn't really want to hold in place that well, but it's okay. I'm going to get down on the ground, and I want to show, I can't seem to get this gap away. I can't get rid of that, no matter what I do or how much fiddling with it. It looks like you should be able to make it flat, but I can't do that. So anyway, it's not that big of a deal to me because I won't really see this mode much, but I figured it would be something to point out. So now with that, I do want to say that one thing that we can't show in the bot mode is the integration of this guy, like hanging on to, Jazz can hang on to here, or he can sort of hang on to there. Two different spots on here, and that's why he's molded to look like that, or he can hang on up here maybe. And so yeah, that's why he's got those hands molded like this. Also, you could also make him look like he's holding on to some controls up in the control panel or something like that. So that's kind of cool too, but we'll look at these more again later. Now I do want to show that there's something else that's pretty cool, the weapon or accessory storage. That is really good that Takara thought to do this. So you spread this out and then pull it up, and then there's all those tabs and stuff in there. And so we're going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to show the accessory storage, and then we're going to kind of convert it over to the Jetfire type of backpack. Okay, so because the faces have holes in the back, we are going to plug the faces into the round slot, and it plugs in nicely right there. And then we're going to see that this doesn't have that same type of hole in it, which is weird that it works like that. But anyway, it's going to go right here on this clip, which I'm sure all my arms are in the way, but there it goes. And that clips in. So that's really cool that you can just store all of your accessories. Pretty much everything out of the box is going to be stored. And we have a Decepticon symbol that we can tab into here. And it'll tab into right there where the Autobot symbol is. This is where it's going to tab in. And then we have a blank stare. Or maybe you just want to use a different sticker. I don't know. Maybe you want him to be a Predacon or a Maximal. Yeah, that's funny. Now, next thing we do, we are going to fold this in like so, and then bring this down and spread that. Gotta make sure this is pushed all the way in, and then we can get it down in here properly. Snaps into place. And then we have the Jetfire look, or, you know, the more of the G1 cartoon-esque type of look going on with it. So there's the alt mode, and let's go ahead and get into some comparisons. All right, so here he is compared to the G1. It's really hard to keep all this in frame. A little bit of shaky cam is going to happen here, just so we can see what's going on, but I think it looks pretty good. And this gives you kind of a, not really a faithful representation, but it sort of gets close, and it resembles what we're about to look at next. This is the New Age iteration, which is going for the exact same thing, except in the Legends scale, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. So we're actually going to be able to look at that in the alt mode 2, or bot mode 2. And so with that, these go for the same thing, but they look a little different. I'm kind of thinking New Age is sleeker, looks a little bit better in alt mode than this. But it doesn't bother me though, because I care about the bot mode the most. And here's a few more with X Transbots, MP-44 for Takara, and that's MMC going on right there. Okay, so the next stop on this wonderful guided tour is going to be Gerwog mode as we move into a transformation situation. So what we're going to do is, I want to show these getting put away. Very simple, but I just figure it's kind of fun to show what's going on with it. I'm going to try to stay in frame, which is going to be hard because this guy's pretty big, and yeah. Let's open these, which is not very hard, it just looks hard. Fold this in, fold that up, looking great. Then we go down here to the legs where we are going to disconnect right here and disconnect right here and fold down on this and then pull the leg out, and then we are going to open up the foot and let's see if I can do this. Give the foot a pull out. There we go. And then on the other side, rotate the hip down like we did before. Get into this girl walk mode, give this a pull. We can push that in there, and then gonna set this down so we can give this a pull the foot out, give it a pull. Oh, fold out that, and then we're going to adjust this guy in his Gerwalk mode, which I never really was a fan of any sort of Gerwalk mode at all, but it is what it is. And I'm not even going to do a comparison to the Jetfire. Let me get this a frame. So I think Robotech fans sort of love this. The Macross Robotech fans love this kind of Gerwalk mode thing that they got going on. I'm not a huge fan of it myself. I never display anything like it, but it does it. So they designed it, and there it goes. And also, if you want to, you could incorporate the arms with Gerwalk mode if that's something that you want to do. I think Takara didn't, because they know the boundaries of what they can and can't get away with. But there we go. It'll stand nicely. It probably won't rotate very well. But, what do y'all think? Now, this is partially transformed into bot mode, partially transformed back. Now, I do want to say going into Gerwalk mode helps it get into robot mode a little bit. So we want to untab this, and we need to move this a little bit to untab this side here. And that, you know what, that gets into one thing that I did miss. This is weapon storage. So I guess before we get to the transformation, we can show that we can store the gun on there. I guess this is the Gerwalk mode gun, or you could do that in the alt mode. But yeah, I forgot all about that. There it goes. It's just so evident now that we're getting into the bot mode. Okay, get that out of the way. Move down here and open this up. And in here, we're going to see, if we can get the light on it, the arm. And we're going to pull the arm out. And since we've already kind of made clearance with all of this, there's the arm. And then we can close this back up for now, because we're going to do a lot of stuff with this backpack here in a bit. So move them around. This is, oddly enough, I'm not a big fan of this Gerwalk mode, but I find it to make this transformation a little bit easier, I guess. Now, it did kind of come and clip because I have it already in that Macross. It's not as, it doesn't clip in as well because you're losing 2, maybe 3 tab-in points here. So that's not very good. All right, so kind of slide up on that a little bit, and then separate the front as you're untabbing it. It tabs in here, and then pull the arm out on this side. Make sure we got the clearance to pull this arm out, and then we can sort of close that up for now. And then that's kind of good. We can come around to the front. Let's go ahead and stand him up now. So he's sort of standing up, and that's going to require you to push in the Gerwalk mode legs so that he's standing on his own 2 feet and not extended ankles. All right, so from here, you can open this up and you can store a figure in here with legs in there and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure why. Maybe they can kind of lay in there as it's flying. So you do need to untab this, which is can be a bit of a challenge. But anyway, I kind of pre-undid that. Fold this down, and this is all on a sliding mechanism. So you want to make sure that that's folded in, and then slide this back. And from there, we're going to fold this piece up, and then all this is going to fold around and kind of come around. And then the hips can kind of go in and out. So let's get that on camera. And then there's a tab in here and a slot in here, and then we just need to tab it in to that slot. And we can close up the hips once that's in place. Then we need to work on the shoulder pieces. And so the shoulders, these shoulders are actually on a slider, so you can slide this out. And this notch goes into that tab. There's a tab right there. And folds up. And you just kind of have to make sure it's lined up. And if it's lined up right, it will do that. Then we have to work on the rest of the shoulder, the arm piece. Now that's falling down in the back. We'll get to the backpack in a minute. Alright, so what do we do with all the rest of this good stuff? We're going to have a slider here, slide it in, and then we're going to accordion everything up, and it tabs in, and then it tabs in again. But you can, okay, so you can either have a butterfly or you can have a really solid joint, because there's a slot and a tab right there. And at this point, it's not really that big of a deal. We can go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and work on these arms. We're going to pop this out, the hands, I guess, and then we need to fold the hands out and then rotate them a bit so that they clear the wrist. And this is going to come down, tab back in a spot, and then we're going to rotate the elbow. And we've got the arm done, this whole side. We do everything we just did on the other side, and then with that I kind of spent a little time rotating hips and stuff, but once it's fully transformed and we know the redistribution of weight, so to speak, we're going to have to get him set up just right. But moving him over to here, I'm going to click him forward a notch so we can see what we got going on and all that. Same thing we did before. So we're going to slide this on the slider. And we're going to fold it up, and we're going to match the notch to the tab. And then we're going to give it a little bit of, got to clear the top piece, and then give it a little bit of a, yep, there it is. Tabbed in, and then we're going to slide the slider for this. And then we're going to notch it up into place. Make sure it gets into that notch. I just pulled and did that one off camera. I just had to slide it in a little bit more and use more force than I wanted to. There's actually two notches. There's the one on the inside and the outside. So fold this open and then do what we did before, where we pull it out just a little bit and then rotate it. Pull it out the rest of the way. Close that up. Flip it around. And we've got the bot more or less where he needs to be. Now we need to work on the backpack. So let's turn around and get started on this backpack. Okay, so I think I got a good angle on this, so I'm going to open this up. Fold this piece here down, and then we are going to make sure that we have this all tabbed properly. We need to lift up on this backpack section. Going up. Did that go up enough? There we go. And then once it goes up, we can slide it in. And I'm probably not getting all of that on camera. Yeah, I kind of got that on camera. And then we are going to close this up into here. And with these wings, we are going to slide these on a slider up. And then we're going to fold this up and in. And same thing over here, slide that up and in, and then get all it tightened up as we go through here, tightening all of this up. This here is going to slide up into it, up, and then fold those back, and then go around and just kind of tighten it up, and that's pretty much the backpack. That's pretty much it. Now we've got to kind of position him for the weight distribution, and so he can handle holding his newly formed backpack. And there he is, looking pretty much like a cartoon accurate version of Skyfire. Let's try to get him into frame, and we'll be back to take a good look at him. Alright, so looking at this guy in his bot mode, he actually does look really good. I was a little questionable on this at first. I was thinking, is this really going to be better than Fans Toys? Well, we'll see that when we do comparisons. Maybe not better, different. You know, it's different for sure. And I'm glad it doesn't look exactly like Fans Toys. I'm glad it looks different. I mean, if you have more than one Skyfire, it's nice to have a different one. But so looking at him, he has some clear translucent in here. You see kind of like the little sine wave kind of deal going on his head. So like electrical kind of thing. Let's see about, I hate when I review white figures, if I put too much light on it, it washes it out, and then I try to like dim it in editing, but looks really good. I like the symbol right here for the Transformers. That's Autobot symbol. We've got some paint right here. We have, so I think a lot of this is painted in, because it does feel painted in some areas. The areas that aren't painted are the areas that touch, which is smart. I like that. His hands look pretty good. The forearms are a bit thick, but the characters, it kind of matches the characters. A little thicker than maybe I'd like, but it's not bad. He is a beefy, chunky dude. Let's go ahead and go down a little bit. And in the waist area, we have this. This is very signature Skyfire look. And down here, we got quite a bit going on. And then, like, we see a lot of this that was translated over from the alt mode, so that's pretty good. And then let's take a quick look at the back. And from the back, he looks pretty clean overall. So let's go ahead and get a look at some of these accessories and check them out. In order to change out his head, you get up underneath the face there, and you can swap out the face. Pretty simple like. Let's get up here. We're going to put in the robot face, which for whatever reason looks like it's got like metal in it. Maybe it's magnetic or something. I don't know. Is it magnetic? It's magnetic. Is this magnetic? That's not magnetic. This one's magnetic for whatever reason. So, well, you put the other face on. That's something I forgot. It's magnetic. You just put that on over it, the face cover. That's so cool. I forgot all about that being a feature. And then this pops up, and the magnetic face doesn't stay on as well as I thought it would. But there it goes. That is cool. All right, and you can see his brains and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of see Starscream working on him and all that. That's interesting. Also, turn him into a Decepticon by sliding this on and all that. Really cool. And all those options store in the backpack. All right, let's get into the articulation on this guy. And so the head side to side up, and you can pull it up a bit and get a down look. You can get more out of it if you want. Now we get into this area, and I'm going to admit that they did some cool stuff, but the fact the way it's like one little bitty tab way in the back that holds the chest in, you will need to kind of hold the chest as you manipulate the arms. We do have a bit of a butterfly to there, which kind of gets his hands to, he could grip a sword, he could pull a Voltron or something like that, and then shoulder goes way up to here. And then 360, of course, with a nice tight ratchet. And again, I would hold all this as I'm moving this. And then we don't have anything going right there with bicep swivel. And then we get the double jointed elbow all the way to whatever you'd want. You've got some nice fingers. Do they splay? They don't splay, but they're super duper solid. And 1-2 points of articulation on each finger, which is fine. And then getting down to the waist, we don't have the ab doesn't turn. And do we have an ab crunch? Well, we have an extreme waist. Okay, so instead of an ab crunch, we have a waist crunch. So I guess that sort of counts, but it doesn't have a waist swivel. Going out to here. Hard ratchet all the way out there. Quite a bit to the front. And then, of course, the restriction because of the bigger backpack going on right there. So kind of an issue. Not that big of a deal for the backpack piece. And then let's see what we can get out of this knee real quick. We can go up to here and down to there, and yeah, pretty good articulation in that knee. And materials feel pretty solid. I don't feel like anything's going to break. at all. Down here, the ankle rocker, and lots of hardware and ankle. And then, of course, you can pull it down, girl walk mode, and get more out of it if you want, side to side and all that. But you can get even more if you want to make it break the sculpt. Okay, so we have the 3 minifigures. We have the Wheeljack Optimus Prime and the Jazz, and they look really good, and they feel really solid. Like, you can pick it up and move it around. They look fantastic. You can see there's not really much to show other than the back looks good too on all of them. But I do want to say that these look good. They're painted, but they're more of, even though they are painted really well, they're more of a flat paint to them. And the X-Transbots, I'm going to show them here in a minute. I like the paint that X-Transbots did better, but I still really like these. Now, not much articulation. The head, I don't think it moves. You got ball joint. You've got 90. Now you got almost double. Well, anyway, you got ball joint, elbow, ball joint, a bend. Really hard to do articulation on these, and all of them have the same articulation. No foot articulation. That's where the difference is with the X-Transbots. And there we are. X-Transbots, X-Transbots, X-Transbots. You got a nice little team if you just bought 2 figures. If you bought the Jansen or their Perceptor, you got all of these, and I didn't include his alt mode. He has an alt mode one included also. So you've already got a nice little lineup of minifigures for whatever reason. I do want to point out that his blast effects do plug into the front of his gun, and if you plug both of them in, one's going to be a little cockeyed, or you're going to bend or break something. So I don't know if they intended it to look like it's just shooting in a strange direction or whatever, if they could have just given a smaller blast radius on there, or they could have just widened the gun. Either way, it would have worked, or let the gun split or something. I don't know. But one seems to make the most sense. Hey, and this has the same design as MP-44. Yeah, where you have connecting pieces. I don't know if that's cool or not. So now we get into the comparisons, and this is the comparison I wanted to see from day one. So on the left we have DACA Toys Kronos. On the right we have the Fans Toys, and looking at all of them, I actually started to think that the Takara one's going to look kind of goofy, and side by side I think the Takara one looks good. Would I say it looks better? I would say it looks more cartoon accurate than any of them, and with that, he's not too tuned to a detriment. He does have, you can widen his shoulders a bit, you can make him look pretty bulky, pretty beefy, but you know, Fans Toys does look more athletic. Like he can go for a good run, and you know, this guy's gonna need a rest after a while. And that dude looks like an old man that needs to take a nap. So that's kind of how it's going. Still, I think DACA Toys Kronos, I mean, I'm hoping this is another opportunity for people that don't have that one to be able to pick it up for real cheap. But there's not that many of them out there, not that many that survived because of the quality. I would say that both of these have pretty decent quality on them. I don't know of a whole lot of breakage issues. I don't have any breakage issues on mine, but looking at them, all of them side by side, yeah, there's the options that are out there. All of the Legends collectors that say it's just kind of not fair to compare it to Legends, that's sort of what it looks like. I'm trying to get the force perspective. I'm just not working because he's just so big. That's all there is to it. He's just so big. Looks good. And I think he still looks better as a Skyfire than either of these options. I think his Magic Square does sort of look closer to what Takara did. And then this is closer to what Fans Toys did for the New Age. But I still think that New Age has a better alt mode, better looking alt mode. That's just personal preference, personal opinion overall. But yeah, looking at it, that's how they look. All right, so here he is next to Magic Square's Optimus Prime and Mech Form Sky Guardian. Is that what they call that one? But that one's kind of a third-party Chug version, which is pretty cool. I like them. It's kind of a stand-in until we got sieged. And here he is next to what caused all the issues in the first place, Jetfire not being Skyfire. And that's the G1 over there, which means a whole lot to me. I just got done restoring 11 of them, or sacrificing one to make 11 good, or something along those lines. And they still need some work, some yellowing that I need to whiten and stuff. But anyway, this is Takara's first attempt with the Siege version, which oddly enough, it looks like he's starting to yellow a little bit. That's sad and scary. I mean, looking at him, this one next to that one, I don't think he was supposed to look that yellowish, but maybe he was. So this is my look at Takara's Skyfire, and what do I think about this guy? I think that he looks pretty good. He actually looks better in hand than he did in the pictures. I'm very pleased with him overall. I do think that he really shines in robot mode. Alt mode is a little bit lacking, but then again, I'm not going to display him in that mode anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. The flight stand is obligatory. It's kind of the same thing that's always there. The accessories are cool, how they can store and cool what they can do and how easily they can swap out. It's really nice to just have easily swapped out stuff, and pretty cool they have the magnet on the faceplate and all that kind of stuff. So really, it's a good overall figure. Is it better than the fans toys? It's different than the fans toys. So this is where you get options. And so I was actually thinking prior to going into this, it just kind of sucks doing yet another figure of the same character, but it's done different enough, and there's enough new stuff in this that makes it worthwhile. Is it worth the price point? That's up to you. So anyway, I did get this to Show Z. I'm going to have a link down below where you can get yours. Remember, TH reviewer code if you pick it up. Like and subscribe. Video Maker out.
Whatever it is, being on ice kept it fresh. Not perfect. Impulse centers down. And with this symbol, you, Skyfire, become a member of the exalted Decepticon forces. Hail, Cybertron!
I am grateful to you for freeing me from my tomb of ice. I shall try to bring you credit. Autobots. You must be destroyed!
The Transformers will return.